This is the Can Crushers Wrestling Podcast.
The following contest is scheduled for one fall.
Let's go nuts! It's Jimmy Nuts! Drive out with a car!
With your hosts, Mark Martinez.
Remember, just because you're trash doesn't mean you can't do great things.
And the English Professor.
It's called a garbage can, not a garbage cannot.
Hey, this is former WWE superstar Duke, the Dumpster Drosy, and you are listening to the Can Crushers Podcast.
What's up, Can Crusher Nation? You'll never believe that I've done this intro probably 5 or 6 times because I just don't know what I want to say this week. I don't have much good to say about my guest. I'm kidding. I love my guest. I really do. But before we get to the guest, as you see, the guest is OVW official Daniel Spencer. I want to make sure that you guys are all doing okay. You guys are stepping back and relaxing. If you're a frontline worker, nurses, doctors, you guys all know. I don't have to get into what everybody is. Thank you. Thank you from the bottom of a garbage man's heart for doing what you're doing because it means a lot. Others of you, stay home. Unless you really need something, a milkshake from Dairy Queen is not really needing something. So please, stay home. This pandemic cannot end until the numbers start to dwindle. If you're out getting just a milkshake because, God forbid, you don't need it, but you feel like you want it. There's a difference between need and want, and you don't need it. Stay home. Stay home. Please, for the safety of my family. That's what I'm asking. But you guys know, please, just listening to the CDC and everything, make sure you're washing your hands and scrubbing behind your ears. I don't know why they're not saying that. Make sure you scrub behind your ears, too. Or, your grandmother will attack you with a wooden spoon. Again, to my guest is the OVW official, Mr. Daniel Spencer. As we're talking to referees a little bit, another one coming up real soon that we're gonna have on the hopper. We just need to figure stuff out when we can get him on. But Daniel Spencer, one of the nicest guys out there. Met him on my very first trip to Kentucky, down to Louisville, when I was down at OVW, and he kind of showed me the ropes of how to do some things. Fixing some ropes, just doing some cool things at OVW. Besides Chad Miller and Mr. Al Snow, who you know we love so much, Daniel's one of the nicest guys down there, for sure. I mean, they're all great, but Daniel just says, come on in, just jump in and go full bore. So he's a great guy. We talk about his podcast. We talk about a lot of stuff, but you're going to find out what makes Daniel Spencer the wrestling fan that he is, why he's become a referee, and I guess I'll give him some time to talk about Ringside Podcast. But we have to talk about Collar and Elbow first. Legitimately just got my shipment of the new Collar and Elbow shirts in. I got the Collar and Elbow BWO shirt on, Blue World Order. I'm excited. They're great. Hats, hoodies, tees, they're all comfortable. These tees, you don't even know you have it on. It's there. It feels good. It's great cotton. It really is. I don't know if it's cotton, but it's great material that you just love them. And everything, $19.99, you got some prices. Shirts, the same thing you would pay when you go to an event. It's great, guys. And we'll give you 10% off. We'll give you 10% off as long as you use our promo code Can Crushers. All one word, capital C in Can, capital C in Crushers. Guys, let's listen to Al, and then we'll be on the phone with Mr. Daniel Spencer, OVW official.
Wrestling. A love and a passion we all share. I've started a wrestling brand. The wrestling brand. A brand founded on the aspects of wrestling. Two entities working together to create a product that connect emotionally for people everywhere. Collar and Elbow is the brand. Passion and love for wrestling is the drive. I am Al Snow, and this is Collar and Elbow, the wrestling brand.
And welcome back to Can Crushers. This guy coming on the show. You can tell that it's just one of those days, one of those weeks. You know, I love him, but he's definitely my arch nemesis. He really is. But he's a big fan of the show, so he says. Nonetheless, welcome to the show, OVW official and host of Ringside Podcast, Daniel Spencer. How you doing, buddy?
Doing great. You know, this is a trashy show, so I figured I would take time and come on here and just fill it up, right? Fill it up with a bunch of trash.
Yeah, spruce it up. Maybe your knowledge of wrestling can save us this week. That's probably why I'm asking for you today.
Well, I mean, you said arch nemesis. I mean, come on now. We bet at each other's odds. I mean, really? Come on, are we?
No, it's just trying to get listeners. Trying to.
Yeah, true.
You would do the same thing.
All right. Well, hey, look. How dare you put me on here and talk to you? I could have been talking to anybody else in this world. Now I got to talk to you for an hour. Oh, this is terrible. So how you like? Is that better? Is that better right there?
That's better. That's better. You know, come on. Be my Jake Roberts, Ricky Steamboat here. Come on, work with me.
There you go. Hey, no matter what, we for sure know that as long as it's me and you talking and we don't hear Ryan Mosley, I think we're okay. I think the show's gonna.
Touche.
Shout out to Ron Mosley. He's our buddy. I'm just messing with him. So
we'll throw him under the bus as well. Anybody. We'll throw him under the bus. It's where we are.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm gonna throw Chad Miller under the bus too because he goes on your show to break the news. He was supposed to come on my show to break the news, and I'm like, what the hell just happened? Like, what? Why did you go on your show and not my show? I mean, I live in the same city with him. I mean, I know you're from where he's from, but come on now. I mean, at least, hook a brother up.
Alcohol. It's what it's all about.
That makes, you know what? That makes perfect sense now. That makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
All right.
Us people from Pennsylvania, if we could get $20 or a 30-pack, we're taking the 30-pack. Hands over fist all the time. Yeah.
I will say this, though. I usually always know about the news a week or so before it gets announced. So it always is tempting to share it, and then I don't share it, and then I wait till after it. I'm like, but hey, being a good member of OVW and a good. I don't share stuff. It doesn't need to be shared until the time is right. But I listened to that interview, which I listened to a lot of them, but it was really, and actually he did break news that I didn't know about on your show, and I was like, what in the world? So I was actually pretty impressed that you got that. You got the alcohol is what it is. So maybe maybe you got him drunk and able to share things, other breaking news that he shared during that time frame that I wasn't aware he was going to share. So I like it.
Yeah, taking advantage of him.
Yeah, absolutely.
No, but I know you as a guest, you'll actually throw Chad Miller under the bus. Both of us have talked to the roster of OVW, without a doubt, and they all like and or respect Chad. If I can get dirt on Chad Miller, it's definitely going to come from you.
Well, I mean, here's the problem, though. If I had dirt on Chad, he might have dirt on me. So I got to be careful of how I release that information. Because it's just, it's that whole cliche. You point one finger, three pointing back at you. So it's possible to just turn right back around on me. So maybe we'll just leave the dirt on Chad Miller alone then, I guess.
All right. But somebody we'll never throw under the bus is our boy Al Snow. We love him.
I'll throw him under the bus.
See, I'm the other way on Al. I won't do anything for Al. I love him. The Blue World Order shirt that's in the mail right now, I'm pretty damn excited about.
Yeah, I got that shirt. I got a nice little package from Collar and Elbow this week, and as you and I both are ambassadors for Collar and Elbow, and I know you got, you promoted, I promoted on my show too, and and sometimes you get bonuses from promoting it. People, and that's one of them. You get a mail call, and you get cool stuff.
Yeah, I'm excited. All right, before we just sit here and drink and talk what we want to talk about, let's tell everybody about your career, so to speak, and then we'll get into wrestling in general, because that's what this whole show is going to be about. I have done no information, no backstory on this, because Daniel and I are legit friends, so we're just going to talk as we normally do. And whatever comes out of each one of our mouths, God, it's going to be a train wreck.
Let's not give anybody too many hopes, I guess, right? What this show's going to be about.
Speaking of train wrecks, have you watched Tiger King yet?
Oh, yes, I have. All you cool cats and kittens out there, I have watched it, for sure.
It's amazing. It's amazing.
It is really, here's the sad thing about it, is that guy, now not as much today as it was years ago, but that guy is about 97%, 99% of most promoters and most people in wrestling. Not as much today, but back in the day, those little territories, those little bit hole in the wall places. That was Tiger King was it, man. That was your Joe Exotic was wow. So if you want to know, I mean, I could name 3 people off the top of my head right now that's probably just as worse than he is, and they're still somehow involved in wrestling today. But it's wow, yeah, unbelievable, unbelievable to see that.
All right, so when you were little, Daniel, who got you involved in wrestling? Who said, guys, you have to watch this? I mean, I know you're from Louisville, and, you're a Louisville Cardinal fan, which I'm sorry about that.
Yep.
But,
hey, there's nothing wrong with the Louisville Cardinals now. As long as we hate the Kentucky Wildcats and you're on that board too, we're okay. We can have rival teams.
Right, I know. It's just gonna be. We're just gonna be pulling punches the whole time. That's all it is.
I got you. So, as far as when I was, believe it or not, I've never shared this part of the story. The first person to ask this question, and I would love to give this person a shout out. But so in '95, maybe, I don't know. It was. I'm trying to think of the time frame. It was right around when the NWO kind of started. So I guess it was around '95. But a buddy of mine, Bobby Pettyjohn, that is legit. His real name is Bobby Charles Pettyjohn, but we'll just go with Bobby Pettyjohn. We were buddies, hanging out all the time, and of course being young little kids, it was back when you could ride your bike down the street. And now I know right now you can't ride your bike down the street because of quarantine, but I'm talking like even back then when you could, it was safe. Like you didn't have to worry about people down the street. I'm not that old, but at least I'm old enough to say it was safe back in that time frame. But I remember going over there. We watched stuff. We were into music together, the same bands. We liked this or that. And then he was always huge into wrestling, and I've watched it growing up, even younger in the '80s and stuff, and Hulk Hogan, Hulkamania, and I've seen it, but I liked it, but I just never really dove into it. And I was a huge fan of acting and drama and stuff like that. I would be in plays. I would try to. I would go out and try to do stuff and get in commercials or whatnot. Like I loved acting. So I finally was like, just come and watch this pay-per-view with me. And we sit down and we watch this pay-per-view. I don't even remember the name of the pay-per-view. I know if I've seen it, because it was a WCW pay-per-view. So I wasn't a big fan of WCW at the time or WWF really at all. So I really can't tell you which pay-per-view it was. But I remember watching it and I was like, oh, this is cool. And I saw the showmanship of it. I was like, oh, this is great. And I kind of got sucked in. And he was like, well, tomorrow night, Raw and Nitro comes on. And he's like, well, you should come over and watch it with me, and we can watch both. I was like, okay. So I went over, and I watched Raw and Nitro. And I was like, really, at that point, I was so sucked in. And I was sucked in more to WWF because it was like, holy cow. I remember The Undertaker. I remember these guys, when I've seen it before and heard of these names. And I was just literally this is it. This is who I'm. So I started watching it weekly, and then I would start going to his house for pay-per-views and stuff. And then next thing I know, WWF were coming to Louisville to do a pay-per-view here as well. So I said, I'm going to get tickets. I got 6th row, and I was super excited. I can't believe I got 6th row. And I was, that sounds like Not a lot. It sounds like 6 row is not as impressive as maybe front or second row, but it is for a young kid.
Oh, yeah.
Impressive, first time going. So I remember sitting there. I remember watching. It was called Ground Zero in your house. The main event was going to be Shawn Michaels versus Undertaker. And then you had the Patriot versus Bret Hart for the title before that, and a bunch of other marquee stuff on the show. I remember sitting there, this vivid memory. I remember sitting down in these chairs. They're real tight, chairs at the Louisville Gardens, and these two huge, I'm talking humongous guys come and sit down in seats next to us. And I'm so humongous that they literally needed 2 seats apiece. That's how big they were. And it squished us. I was there. My mom's friend would take me to these shows. So I was sitting there going, we were so uncomfortable. So we looked up, and right above hard cam, where hard cam sits, was a bunch of open section. And I was like, let's just go up there and sit down right now and give us some breathing room. If they tell us to move, we'll move. We go up there, we sit down. Not a single person tells us anything. We sit right under the hard cam, and we watch the show as if we were watching it on TV at the hard cam. So, yes, I was 6th row, and I actually felt like the seats were better. I experienced the show better from where I was because of the experience I had. Plus, I was kind of, being young, couldn't really see over people's heads in front of me anyway, so it would have been hard to kind of watch. So it all worked out to be a better situation. But saw an amazing show. After the show, went to the back and realized that I can see wrestlers come out. We got to shake hands with Stone Cold Steve Austin at the time. Henry Godwin yelled at Owen Hart. He was drinking a beer. He literally a can of beer. He threw it up in the air like, how you doing? And gets in the car. Kind of find out, he used to ride with fans, so that was a fan's car he was getting into. If I'd known, I probably could have did that.
Damn.
But yeah, so that was kind of my first experience, and I was live, and I was like, oh man, this is great. Well, then at the same time, my mom's friend said, she dated some wrestlers, and she's like, there's a wrestler friend of mine that I used to date, and he wrestles here locally every week, and I think you should go. It's on Tuesday nights. It's called OVW, Ohio Valley Wrestling. And I'm like, really? She goes, yeah, I think you would enjoy it. I see how you enjoyed this. We get the pay-per-views. I think, I was like, I love the live crowd. I said, well, I think you'll enjoy it. And she would say, there's nobody big names. They're all local guys. You're not going to see anybody but it would be a good thing. So I started going. It was in Jeffersonville, Indiana, to OVW weekly, and we once again fell in love. Guys like Nick Dinsmore, Rob Conway were there. These are the guys, Jack Black. These are all these guys that kind of started the OVW, the developmental of what OVW is today, but before WWE came in. So it was like, and then they would do once-a-month shows at Louisville Gardens. So when they do once-a-month shows, they started bringing in Jerry Lawler, the Headbangers, all these different guys, Brian Christopher. And I'm just going, okay, so I would go to these shows, and I would get to meet these guys, and I would get to talk, and I would be always sit up close, second row, third row. It was a little bit easier to do that time and have big guys come and sit beside me and run in my seats. And it was just really, really, I fell in love more and more with wrestling. And then I went to every single time WWE or WWF at the time, or WCW came in town, went to all those shows, got every single pay-per-view, had a party. People came over, everybody paid $5, and we ordered pizza, and we all watched the pay-per-view. And I would tape them. I still have a library of every one of those pay-per-views in the original, even though I have the network now, I don't need it, but it's still cool to have. And I would tape Raw and Nitro every week, and at that time, I would tape Raw. It's crazy as it sounds. I would tape Raw and I would tape Nitro, but I would still watch it live and flip back and forth. But I would tape it just so I can go back and watch it later.
In case you missed anything. Yeah,
exactly. Then I started realizing, though, that Nitro came on after Replayed again. So then I got to the point where I would just tape Raw and watch Raw and flip it back and forth, and then watch Nitro in its fullest afterwards when it aired again. But there were sometimes, very rarely it happened, where Nitro didn't air right away again, or didn't air afterwards. I'm going, what's the replay didn't air, the encore? I'm going, what the heck? So then I went back to taping it both. I said, forget it, I'm just going to tape both of it, because you never know. And I still have a lot of those tapes, too. I need to go back and watch them all because it'd be interesting just to see. And when you're recording, by the way, there was one TV on a Raw that recorded. You can see me flipping back and forth, but the other side when I recorded Nitro, because the way it was recorded in the other room, it was just Nitro only. So it's kind of funny when I have those in the past, seeing me flipping back and forth. So go ahead.
No. I was going to say Knights. I love that whole idea. Yeah.
So, I'm doing this, become a big fan. More and more WWE's now coming in developmental. They've seen guys like, wow, who's this guy, Randy Orton? Oh, his dad was a wrestler. Okay, his grandfather was. Oh, cool. Watching these guys, watching Brock Lesnar. This guy. I remember the first time I ever met Brock Lesnar. We went to a WWE, it was a SmackDown or something. Me and my friend Chris. We're walking. We're leaving. It's at Freedom Hall. At this time, WWE got bigger and bigger. Started having some bigger arenas here, and it was at Freedom Hall for SmackDown. And we're leaving, or maybe in the Raw. I don't know. It was one of the two. We're leaving the show, and we got the little WWF magazine or something, whatever they were selling, that program they were selling. And we're walking out. We see this guy in the front of Freedom Hall in this limo, getting in this limo, blonde-haired buzz, huge guy, sitting there, and we're like, dude, I wonder if he's a wrestler. I don't know. So I just, because I was very bold like that, I just like, hey man, how big are your arms? And he goes, pretty damn big. You got it here, kid. I was like, okay. So he looked intimidating, looked crazy. It looked like he was about to beat us up. So I was like, all right, so we're going to let that be. So we get home. We're looking through the program. We just bought it after the show. And we get into this one section. I'm talking about this wrestler from Minnesota, University of Minnesota, and how he's getting ready to sign a contract. And we're looking and we're going, oh, my gosh, that's the guy. That's the guy right there. Just told us, pretty damn big. And he's like, get out of here, kid. That's him. It's like, no, it's like, that's him. And then we read it more and it said he was going to be going to OVW. And we're like, that has to be him. Well, sure enough, a week later, 2 weeks later, whatever it was, we see him at OVW, and it was him. It was Brock Lesnar. So before Brock Lesnar was anybody, I got to say something to him, and he scared me. To death. But and he did it once again at OVW many times when I tried to ask for a picture or autograph, and he said no, and act like he was going to beat me up. So yeah, he legit doesn't like people. So and then later, I think he what I hear, he kind of cooled down. I do have some autographs of him. I think he did kind of told me he's got to do this. So I think later he just kind of started doing that. So don't want to get, but now he's Brock Lesnar. He don't care. So you're not going to get an autograph from him in the first place, anyways. Now, so good luck to that.
You're lucky if he goes up.
Right. Yeah. So I'm just going, all the time when WWE was developmental, things like that, and then somewhere around, I met a guy. I won't say his name. Just to put it clear, he was Jim Cornette's best friend. The reason I won't say his name is because I was friends with him for 20 years, and the dude up and just like turned his back on me and Jim Cornette. So I'm just like, whatever. You know who he is, though, if you're a fan of Jim Cornette. But he became friends. So like we would chat, and I would come and help out different things, and I had a hotline. He would come and he would do stuff for. To kind of talk wrestling or whatever. So I was like, okay, cool. Went over his house, watched a few WrestleManias with him. It was pretty cool. We were looking. This was during the time I was in high school. I would do a Rock impersonation, and I would literally be the Rock, and I would come out and do this whole thing. And I was kind of over in my high school. Still to this day, I legit will go into a mall sometimes. Now, people now see me as the ref, and they'll say, but there's still to this day, there's people that recognize me from high school, don't know my name is Daniel Spencer, but say, what's up, Rock? To this day.
Wow.
So that's how, and I believe I became prom king and all that stuff because of The Rock. And I actually made them, I said, you can't put Daniel Spencer on the ballot. You got to put The Rock, Daniel The Rock, or whatever. You got to put Daniel Spencer The Rock. I was like, if not, I won't get any votes. Sure enough, I ended up winning it because of that reason. I guarantee it. So I shout out to Dwayne Johnson for let me steal his gimmick for a little bit.
Good God.
Yeah, if you only knew. So I would do, but I did this in my old high school. We would do pep rallies and these events. Well, Kenny Bolin got wind of it and was like, why don't we do one of the OVW shows there? So we started doing this show, and this was about the time when I already graduated, but I was helping them out doing stuff. So we decided to put on the show that were OVW. This is the time when APA was down rehabbing. Matt and John just won Tough Enough 3. So they were just sitting down to 2003 or 4. They were just sitting down to OVW developmental. And that's where I met Matt Cappotelli. And that is what became friends, and that's what started this whole me possibly getting involved in more friendship, because I met him, everything was great, became good friends. He was a super cool guy. We chatted. I chatted to him just as much as him and Kenny. Oh, I said his name. No. Throughout the
good job.
Throughout the time, and kept up. But then I ended up getting married, and all my life changed, all that kind of stuff. So that my ex-wife didn't like wrestling, so I kind of didn't get involved. But Cappotelli was trying to push me to get involved. He's like, "Come on, you can wrestle." I was like, "I don't know if I can be a wrestler." He was, "Well, I mean, I knew for the fact it wasn't, genetics. I wasn't going to be 6'6", 200-something pounds. I was going to be limited on what I could do." And at that time, still, little guys were not at all big. Like, that was it. Like, you're little, you're not going to do anything. You're going to be your Drake Maverick and get beat up, and that's it. And then you're done. So it was very rare for a little guy to break into the business and get in big. So I knew I wasn't going to ever main event WrestleMania or get in or be anything big. So I kind of used that as my excuse of not pushing for it. But then again, my ex-wife also did hate it. So
that's why she's your ex-wife. That's why she's your ex-wife. Yeah. Exactly. But so years went by. Matt then got the brain tumor, and then he was more we interacted more because he wasn't wrestling, wasn't traveling. So he started doing stuff with me in my local church, our friendship just became bigger. He kept saying, he was training at this time. He goes, "Dude, just come on, just train. I'll take care of you. I'll train." He goes, and he kept saying to me, "There's other stuff you can do besides wrestle." And I go, "Yeah," and in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, well, I love production. I love the writing, and so maybe I could get in the backstage side and like be helping the writing and the this and that. Like, I'm thinking that aspect of it. Never even thinking of referee. That's what I'm like, but I see all this, but I don't know. And part of my brain, and this time I'm, don't know yet because I'm getting to have a kid and ex-wife still don't like it. So, it's all this stuff going on. So, it was after, so a kid was born, a couple years later, I started going through the divorce. And then when that happened, I was chatting more with Matt. I was going back to shows because I hadn't been in OVW in quite some time, so I was starting to go back to shows and get more involved in my fanship. And I always would watch the every week Raw on TV and stuff like that, and every once in a while TNA Impact. So I would always keep up with like the mainstream stuff, the big companies. But as far as the local stuff, I stepped away for a little bit. So I started getting back, and Matt was there at a couple shows, and Matt was just like, "Come on, just come on here." He kept constantly pushing me to train. I didn't really take advantage of that at all. But then his tumor came back. He ended up, when he had it the first time, he ended up getting a lot of cut out. Everything's fine. He's living a comfortable life. Well, then the tumor came back. So at that point, and it was worse than what it was before. And at that point, I was like, you know what? I got to do this. I've got to make a decision to get involved somehow, shape, or form. And then at that time, I was starting my podcast, Ringside Podcast. Around the same time he was announced, or a little bit before, I started a little bit before he announced the tumor and started doing shows. And it just so happened I had somebody on talking about doing a benefit show. And I was promoting the benefit show for him and whatever. And I jokingly, just like me and you kind of did on this show a little bit ago, we're jokingly saying to him, like, "Oh, if you need a special guest referee, I'll be right there." And he goes back, "Yeah, absolutely. We can use you. Come on, you special guest referee. Yeah, for sure." Left it at that on the show, thought, okay, we're talking about this stuff. We go on, we're done. I'm thinking that was good show quality stuff we joked about, we said, or whatever. It's going to get great. People's going to listen, going to get great ratings, right? Right.
Show ends. He goes, "I'm serious about you being a referee, man. You should come on. We could really use you." And I go, "Oh, I thought you were joking." And he goes, "You weren't joking?" I said, "Well, I was, but I was also serious." I was like, but I'm like I said, I haven't really. I did, and backtrack too. Back in when I did those shows for OVW at the school, I did the basic training, a couple bumps, a couple things. So I knew some stuff, but it's been a while. So I was like, well, I've done a few things. I've taken bumps and whatnot, but I was like, I really don't know anything about refereeing. And he literally just goes, you watch wrestling all your life, right? And I was like, yeah. He goes, you're going to be fine. He goes, just, I'll give you, come to the show. This is a great show for you to break ice and do whatever. Just get your shirt. He told me where to go buy a shirt. He was like, we'll put you in some good matches. We'll guys that'll take care of your wing. Everything's fine. I was like, all right. He goes, and I was excited. I turned in. I was like, this is great. I was getting pumped up about it. I started like promoting and advertising. Like, I'm going to be there and this whole thing. And it was actually a really cool, this whole show. Like, it was really a good show. And throughout the couple matches, I did a tag match, and some of the guys was taking me into the wings. Like, this is your first tag match? Like, yeah, second match ever, first tag match. He's like, all right. So they kind of walked me through everything there. And after the show was done, 3 or 4 guys was like, dude, this is really your first show? I was like, yeah. He goes, man, you've got the look, you've got everything going. He's like, man, we got some other shows. We can love to bring you out and have you do more stuff. He's like, you're definitely, you can tell there's certain things about it that you're learning, but he goes, you're not as green as you would think somebody that never refereed before would be. And never been in the ring before like that. And I was like, well, thanks for the compliment. I'll definitely look into it. And one of the main things I wanted to do was get LASIK surgery because I wore glasses. And I said, I got to get LASIK. I want to make this anything do anything more important. And probably, and I didn't say this earlier, but that was another part of the back of my mind that I wore glasses. I could never be a wrestler, never do anything because I wear glasses. But
yes.
I didn't think about LASIK, So I get the LASIK surgery, and then which I was going to do for years anyway. So it kind of just pushed me to motivate to do that. And the next thing I started getting asked to come in other shows. It started off again as another special guest referee in the main events in a couple shows, and then it said, you know what? We only have. I showed up one time, I was like, you're only the ref here, so there was one other ref or something like that. But it's like, we can't just have this guy do all the matches and you just do the main event. So why don't we introduce you at the beginning, and then we'll do some kind of angle where you're going to referee these other matches to show yourself approved for the main event. And I said, okay. So whatever worked out, we did that, and then that show also led to, hey, we're doing a show tonight. You're going to have Jimmy Hart there, and start naming, I can't remember who else was there, some other big-time former guys. Like, come on out, and we'll give you a couple matches. And we work with an earpiece, so it's TV, so it's a little different. But so then I went to that, and it was called Grindhouse, and then went there is kind of what I did that weekly, and it was just kind of pushed up until OVW called and had me come on board. And really, it was the connections to Grindhouse, because a lot of those guys used to be Rudy Switchblade, and all those guys, Too Tough Tony, all those guys knows a lot of people at OVW and was formerly at OVW, so they kind of, and they did it the way OVW does as far as the way they run the production. So I was learning into that rope, but also when OVW needed refs, they knew I was reffing there, and they reached out, and it's like, oh yeah, he'd be great. He'd be a great hand to have. So, and I did some training with them too in the ring and more stuff as well. So it just kind of, skyrocketed into that out within a few months, and then next thing you know, I'm refereeing OVW, and then Impact, and then it's like, wow, what a crazy couple of years that turned into. So yeah, wow.
There's so much that I went through into the bus. No, but that's
on and on and on. So.
No, but that's a great story. You told your whole thing. The first thing I actually want to break, and I'm going to be rewinding now. You said you like plays. What was your favorite play that you were in? I really want to know this because the English professor and I he goes to them, and I kind of critique them because we're idiots, more or less, is what it is. But I love plays. So what was your favorite play that you were in?
We're going to laugh when I tell you.
No, I'm not. I love them. I'm honest.
Well, yeah, but I mean, it's not what you're thinking. So it is, but it's not. Here's why. Because when I was in some of these big drama productions, I mean, really like theatrical, huge productions we would do, it was actually at a church. So but it wasn't like cheesy, silly, like church plays. Like legit, like they're talking. We had guns we'd shoot off. We had fireworks, pyro. We had lights. We had smoke. We had a whole 9 yards. So it was 2 of them. it was Dracula, which yes, you know Dracula, but it was kind of a Christian spin on it. So you know, but I would play. I played Igor, which is Dracula's little
buddy.
Yeah, and then I also played Dracula one year. So like I had to do both roles, which Dracula was basically Satan, so to speak. So I got to do that, and then also another one was called Final Destination, which basically like. Yes, I know there was a movie like that, but it was a little different. It basically took you to people's lives and they died or whatnot and what you went through. But different. But I also played 3 roles in those plays. I would play Satan, and then I would. Apparently, I'm good at that.
I was going to say the writing's on the wall.
Yeah. But I would play a robber who basically was like a comedian act who would basically do this stuff where like it would be like the 2 guys are robbing something. One's like the real serious, and one of them's all the goofy like. And he would, hit his foot on stuff and be loud. And, we're trying to be quiet. We're trying to break into the store, things like that. So it'd be the comic relief of it. And then, and then there's another, maybe it was a different play. Actually, there's another one called The Execution. I forgot. That one was where I was a character who basically was like a punk, kind of like he got into drugs or whatnot. He killed his best friend. And, he just lived a tough life, and I got to dye my hair blonde and wear almost like I was an Eminem wannabe and stuff. So it was pretty cool. But these like legit, like big time productions. Now I've been in other stuff like I was going to be in, it got canceled at the last minute, but we did rehearsals and everything. I was going to be in Hairspray. We were going to do Hairspray just a couple of years ago at Shepherdsville, Kentucky is a smaller town outside of Louisville, and there was like a big play they do every year, and they were going to do Hairspray, and we were part of all that, but then it got canceled enough time where we didn't have to, but it was just one of those things where hopefully we're going to redo it. It's supposed to be this year, but obviously with the quarantine right now, put on hold. But yeah, I mean that's kind of, and then of course in high school I did, I can't remember the name of it, but it was basically kind of like a whodunit type of thing, and I can't remember the name of the play at all. But basically, I was a butler.
That's the only one that you were a good person in. Then that's the only one that you were a good person. All right.
Well, but you never know because the butler could have had something to do with stuff. But I was having an affair with the maid, so I guess I wasn't too much of a good guy, I guess. But yeah, so.
You said you did your hair blonde. Was it blonde or was it frosted tips? Because I think I've seen pictures of you with like frosted tips out there. Am I right?
There is. I have done the frosted tips things in the past. Yes.
Your Backstreet Boys era.
Yeah, something like that. I did do the frosted tips for a while, but actually my picture I think I got my very first picture of Matt Cappotelli and Johnny Morrison. Is actually, I think I have frosted tips on in that picture.
I know, you did.
But no, later, it was, in this play, it was completely like Eminem blonde. Like I went all blonde. But what I did was, I did it all blonde because then after the couple weeks we did the play, it grew out, I got a haircut, and then it was frosted tips. So you see, that's how it, you just let it grow, and then you shave the sides and back and let the top be, dark and blonde. So there was a method to my madness.
So you were the original Tiger King. See, spin it right back.
Well, I didn't have a mullet. I didn't have a mullet. I did have a rat tail back in the early '90s, though. I don't know if you had those down up where you're at.
Oh, we also wore MC Hammer pants. So yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay. All right. Then you got it. The lines in the sideburns or sides, and then.
Yeah.
We got all that too.
We had so many bad haircuts, and I had to try them all. This is after I graduated. I'll let you know this. At one point when the Pittsburgh Steelers went to the Super Bowl, I got to say it's the year before my son was born, the 2004-2005 one. I legit shaved off all my hair except for the back that had the Steeler logo in it, and my wife was, and then my girlfriend, but I made her paint the stars, the blue, the gold, and the red. Yeah, I hope those pictures are nowhere to be found, but Yeah,
Hey, speaking of Steelers, I'm still blocked by Ben Roethlisberger on Twitter.
Good.
Probably because
He
I
hates
might
you.
have said,
Huh? He hates you.
yeah, I think I might. I mean, I don't know if I ever. There might be a possibility where I said the word rapist in his name at the same time. I don't know, but apparently he didn't like it, and I'm blocked. So I don't know. So I didn't know it was blocked until like 2 years ago. Somebody was like, "Ben Roethlisberger blocked me," or whatever, and people were talking about it, and it was like a big, I'm blocked too, and I was like, oh, and I clicked on him going, I'm blocked too. And I do remember like tweeting out something and was like, I can't believe I hate the Steelers and that whatever when I beat the Colts one of the years, and I think that's probably why he blocked me. And I don't do stuff like that now. I really don't go on like Twitter rants on people and anything. I've grown up, but
well,
there's no way.
Well,
yeah.
But you've grown older. I don't know if you've grown up.
Oh, true. Okay, I got older. Yeah, okay. All right, there you go. I'll give you that one. I grew older. But honestly, though, you know, you live it like I cannot. I can't. That has to be the only reason he blocked me. I mean, because I do remember saying that at one time, and you know, I used to joke and make fun of his last name, change it from you know, Roethlisberger to, you know. But honestly, you know, just like anything else, you know, at the time everything was acquitted. He seems to be a great guy, so we'll let it be. And I don't know if I ever get unblocked, and I'm okay with that. It's fine. I've learned to accept being blocked by Ben Roethlisberger on Twitter.
Yeah, you and probably millions, but that's okay. That's okay.
Yeah.
All right, so you brought up. Go ahead. No, it's your show. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No,
Go ahead with your question. Go ahead.
No, you brought up that you are now working with TNA because, of course, we know OVW and TNA kind of have a partnership working together. Big stuff happening with OVW and TNA. Let's bring it back to the coronavirus because I want to know what's going on in Louisville itself. I mean, how shut down are you guys right now? And we know OVW not coming back until the beginning of April, but with the president releasing stuff recently, I'd have to imagine things are going to get pushed back a little bit, right?
I'm under the impression that we're going to just push it now to May, probably either the May SNS that we originally had planned, or just make it the first television show back on May, the Fan Appreciation Day and everything. It hasn't been officially announced yet, obviously, but you know, from what you said, what the president said, and our governor is also going to make the same announcement probably today at 5 o'clock, because he does a 5 o'clock, as we're recording this, I should say. He does a 5 o'clock briefing every day. It's been actually, shout out to our governor, it's been pretty amazing here in Kentucky. But so when he does that, he'll probably announce it, and more than likely that's what we're going to wait on officially for our local government to make the announcement. Right now, as far as lockdown, it's not, I mean, yes and no. It's not like we can't go anywhere. They're trying to, you know, keep us limited as possible. It is weird when you go to drive down the street and no one's out there. You know, it's kind of, you know, for the most part, the stores are now starting to limit it on what you can get. So now when you go to the store, your chances of getting stuff is there, except for some recent toilet paper still. But I'm one of those weird hoarder. Before this ever happened, certain things I buy in bulk and lots of toilet paper, paper towels, shampoo, deodorant, soap, things like that. I've always been the stickler for having more than I ever need because of these reasons.
Right.
So right now I'm okay with that. But doesn't mean that I'm not going to need some soon, I should say. But as far as I couldn't get meat for a while, meat was like the big deal. Like everybody was, I guess, buying 100 packs of it and freezing it. I don't know what was going on, but now they put a limit on that. So I was able to this past week go to the store and get meat and actually be able to cook burgers and hot dogs and, you know, all that stuff. So it's nice. And they got a lot of us working from home at different jobs, you know, like my job's doing that. A lot of other ones are too, giving you ways to work from home or limiting your contact. The schools are out. The schools are out until this week would have been their normal spring break. So it was planning on originally coming back after spring break, but now they pushed it all the way till April 21st. But I have a feeling now it's going to even be pushed back further till May because of that reason. And then we're going to start, I think the schooling is actually next week. I'll start doing stuff. My daughter's got to do stuff over the computer, the internet and stuff, still keep classes going, which is great. I'm glad. Yeah, so it's just been, and what's really sad is that there's a lot of wrestling. Yeah, there's OVW, there's a lot of other shows that go on. So I'm connected. I know a lot of friends in the area that do other shows and whatnot. So it's just been it's really kind of a sad time if you're a wrestling fan or you're a wrestler or in the wrestling business, because like you're literally your whole life every week is what your next show and what you're doing. And now you're like, well, I don't know what to do. Like it's just kind of an odd, weird time. And I'm sure we're not the only community that's doing that. And unless you're in the WWE or AEW, you're pretty much, you're a wrestler. You're experiencing all that. You don't have a weekly show to go to right now. So
yeah. Up here there's wrestlers that are beauticians or whatever, teachers or the whole thing that both of their incomes right now are pretty much shut down. So they're finding different ways to interact with fans, making sure they remind that buy this and use my promo code from Collar and Elbow, or buy this from Pro Wrestling Tees or stuff like that. And we want to help promote those people as well, because, hey, they're busting their ass for us. We can buy a T-shirt from, we always say Ray Lyn. Ray Lyn. She's one of our biggest fans. We love her. So, we always a shout-out to Ray Lyn all the time, because, she's the one right now struggling. So we want to help her out.
And Austin, we're glad you brought her up, because I remember seeing her a few years ago when she was at OVW originally, and watching her and what she's become. And she's always one of my favorite, talents. And now to be, she's sort of her friend and be able to work with her in a few matches and stuff like that. I mean, she is by far one of the best talents, one of the best overall human beings out there. So, yeah, shout out to Ray Lyn, and help support her 100%. Go on her website or social media, buy her merch. Get Cray, right? Get Ray.
Yeah, she's something. All right, let's switch back. Let's talk about some of the big matches you've done. And it can be OVW, it can be some with the TNA. Just let's talk about big matches that are like high profile across the board.
Well, yeah. So real quick, though, I do want to do this. You brought it up. Yeah, last year, about a year ago, we got to do the first ever OVW Impact Clash of the Bluegrass combined show. And that's where I kind of get the relationship with Johnny Bravo and some of the guys at Impact, because of that show and working that show. And that allowed me to be able to do other stuff for Impact later on. And then I'll make before we're done here, I'll say some real good, cool stuff that's coming out the next couple of weeks. But as far as big matches, I would think that, at that time, I did work on a good friend, Jesse Morris. He's a local guy right near JMO. He did a match with Colt Cabana. That was kind of the first big marquee guy that I got to work with was Colt Cabana, and Colt Cabana was super, super nice, super cool, and gave me some good advice afterwards. And of course, I was wearing a Cappotelli shirt that day, so we kind of bonded a little bit over Matt Cappotelli, so it was kind of cool. But as far as and that was a fun match, because Colt Cabana's matches are all like that, just different. But the Tony Gunn versus Sami Callihan main event for the OVW Heavyweight Championship at last year's Clash of Bluegrass at Davis Arena was just an amazing match to be a part of, and it was amazing just overall storytelling throughout the whole match, the story that led up to that, OVW versus OVE, the concept that was there. It was just amazing. And that was probably always still one of my top matches that my head that I don't know if it ever will be replaced as far as top tier matches. And yes, Tony Gunn, I know he's a guy that is on the up and up, and one day 10 years from now I'll be like, wow, Tony Gunn was one time, you refereed for him when he was, at OVW, but not at Impact, WWE, or anywhere he has. Like, yeah, but he'll be somewhere one day.
Oh yeah.
But
oh yeah.
It was just amazing. Like I said, just the atmosphere and everything there. That same show, I worked Brian Cage and Justin Smooth, and that was a great match too. But it was just, it was a great match, but it just didn't have the story that Tony and Sami had for weeks on that. Throughout the the time, it just recently happened. Once again, on the OVW Impact Combined show, but it was Moose and Rhino. I did their match. Also did Rhino and Fulton. They had a match too as well the night before. The Rhino and Fulton was in Lexington, Kentucky. Moose and Rhino was in Louisville at Davis Arena. I did both of those matches, and then just you'll see it here in a couple of weeks on Impact Television on Access TV. But I got to do the tag match with Rhino and Tommy Dreamer versus the Chris brothers. So it's things like that. It's been pretty cool to be able to be a part of and do those kind of things. I'd say it was pretty amazing to be able to do the gut check challenge match. The winner of the gut check challenge, who actually was on our episode of Ringside this past week, but I got to do the match of final of the gut check for Impact. So there's been a lot of things I've been able to do, but some of the fun stuff, some of the stuff that I always like. My very first ever OVW match was Jay Lee versus Brittany Deveray, who was their champion at the time.
Wow!
And then
I love Jay Lee.
I got to do that match.
I love Jay Lee.
I got to do that match, and it was a whole concept where they cheated behind my back and used a chain, and then she lost the title, or she won the title. Jay Lee did, and then they told me, ref, you're so stupid. We used a chain. That's what Callie did, because Callie, doesn't think.
And we agreed with them. And we agreed.
So I just reversed the decision. I said, why not? So I just reversed it and kept the title on Brittany. And so because that was my first ever big match. I mean, I did another match like on the pre-show or whatever, but that was my first ever match in OVW. It was big, and I remember it was a moment because I was involved in the whole story. It wasn't just me reffing. It was involved in this whole certain angle and what needed to happen. So yeah, I mean, it's just, like I said, there's probably many. There's one thing I do is I literally have a list, and I try to take a picture of it or whatever I can of every match that I referee. So I can go back and give you the time and date and where it was and who the matches I refereed on. And so I have that database of purpose because there's so many stuff right now, like you're asking me this question. I can name a few off the top of my head, but there's probably a lot that I'm missing that is really a phenomenal match and really was great. It's just that, you're trying to put all this stuff in your brain at one time, trying to think of everything up front. But if I go back and list all my matches and look, there would probably be so many I would check off going, this was great, this was great, this was great, But a lot of people want to hear the big names. And working with guys like Tommy Dreamer, Rhino, Moose, anybody at OVE, anybody at Impact, really. I mean, it's been, those guys there, Super Ace Austin, it's those guys are Willie Mack. I mean, I'm just trying to name all the people I've worked. Like, what was cool was you'll see it this week on the TNA special on Access Television. You'll see I was able to work a TNA match. I was able to work, Chase Stevens versus Hernandez, and that was cool to be a part of. And I can say that I've worked for TNA. Like, I've worked for Impact, and I never thought I would say I've worked for TNA because TNA you thought went out of business.
Gone. Yeah.
But I got to work for TNA, so it's it's pretty cool.
Yeah, Spencer, TNA doesn't get enough love. TNA, Impact, I have them together. They don't get enough love as they should because, I love the Tessa stuff going on, Sami Callihan. I love what they're doing. Just people don't give them enough love, and you're part of it right now, so I might have to give you some love.
Well, hey, I'll take it. You know what? And I was one of those big people, and I'm going to admit it on my show. At first I'm a traditionalist. I was against Tessa having the title and putting it on her and having her be the world champion. But let me tell you what, man, she is killing it right now as the world champion. And she is, I'm now a fan of that and now okay. I want to see what they do with it. And right now it's going to be put on hold a little bit longer. But I'm really definitely a fan. And plus she's a super cool person too. So when you know her personally,
right.
Or when you've had interactions with her, to say, you kind of your opinions changed. But even before then, though, I was like, wow, she's really stepping up. And Impact's really, I honestly, personally, WWE's number one, of course. But I think the storylines and angles and what's going on, and I'm not saying I know I'm biased right now because I do things for them, but I'm going to have to put Impact above AEW right now as far as the overall production and what they're doing. AEW has your you're a super fan right now, thinking they want something new and fresh, and this is so cool. And my co-host Jeremy a lot of times will say, and it's true. He's like, oh, they can just come out and ring the bell. Oh, this is awesome.
Yes, I agree with you. Yeah.
And it's like they just ring the bell. Like, really, guys? Like, come on. And and granted, you paid your money. You have every right to be excited for them to ring the bell to start the match. I get that. I'm okay. But it's like, come on now, really, like, And then you watch the match, and the match is not that great, and they still will act like it was the greatest thing you've ever seen. I'm going, God, this is not,
everything is not awesome.
There's a lot of burying referees there, and I know that they cleaned it up and got better at it, and not better, but there's a lot of burying referees. And me being a ref, I do not like that at all. And I think some of the top refs there have kind of pushed and said, guys, I even heard Jericho one time, you got to quit doing this. But they got to quit, and that's a very indie thing to do, is bury the ref. I mean, you don't know how many times I've been to an indie show refereeing, and they go, yeah, we're gonna go on the outside here, blah 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 blah, and they're gonna be out there for like 20 minutes. I'm going, guys, you can't be. Well, you just gotta come out there with me. Don't count, because I'm like, what? And so then I basically like, look, here's what it is. I'll give you some time, but when I start counting, you better just hop back in the ring for a second and hop back out. I was like, because I'm gonna count. I was like, if I disqualify you. And if you ever have some people I worked for before, I have been willing to disqualify you when I wasn't supposed to, but I saw you cheat and I had to do it, So, things like that. It's just don't bury the refs. And I think they're getting, like I said, they're getting better at it though. And that's the one thing that always used to drive me crazy. But Impact overall, though, I think what their stories are going, their angles and stuff, it's more entertaining and better for me right now than AEW.
Well, let me bring up actually the one that the three of us have been a huge fan of is NWA right now. It's on right before OVW on Tuesday night, so you get your action from NWA right into OVW. I know you guys are busy, but you can go back on YouTube and watch it. Have you watched NWA a lot?
I've seen a few episodes, and that's the problem. It's on Tuesday night, so Tuesdays are like I'm
legit, yeah.
I'm booked. I'm done, yeah. So, but I do try to go back and watch as much as possible. I keep up with it as far as like reading things. I keep up what's going on, and I watch a few angles, or I watch the promo videos they put out where I kind of see the highlights of everything. I know one of the guys that I've talked to a lot here recently. Referee there, Mike Posey. I know Mike Posey's there. He also referees an Impact. So, I know there's a lot of things. He'll explain a lot of things going on and things like that. I mean, it's a studio show, which is OVW's a studio show too, technically. So right. I like that atmosphere. I mean, obviously I'm involved in one too, so I like it. I think it'll be cool to see them if they ever get a chance to go on the road, to hit up a couple spots in some small areas and do some things. I think it'll be cool to try that, and I think that's the future. To do some travel, a couple like live shows or whatever, not anything taped for.
Not their pay-per-views. Like the Crockett Cup was coming up that we were going to go down to in Georgia, but it got scrapped with everything going on. But you just mean like a weekly live show on the road? Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, just something you go and you're able to see. Them. You can be in Knoxville, Tennessee. You go watch them, and you watch a show in a little bitty small venue and see how these start them close, and then it's a good advertisement for them to up on the TV, and you get your matches, whatever. But I mean, because that's what NWA and them used to back in the day. They would have a studio show, but then they would go out and do the travel stuff. But yeah, so I like the nostalgia of it. I like the bringing that back and that look and everything. I think it is pretty cool. They got a good crew there, it's interesting to see. I mean, right now, the one thing, and it's not a knock on them at all, but it is just a YouTube show. It's not a TV show. They're not on national TV. There's only 3 companies, well, actually 4, on national TV right now. And, that's WWE, that's AEW, that's Impact, and that's, what's the other? Oh, OVW.
Yeah.
Starting April 3rd, yes, on national TV. 4 TV. Now, the rest of them, you say, well, ROH. No, well, that's regional because it's in different areas. You may have it on a station where you can watch it in your city, but it's not on a national scale. It's on that local, whatever that channel is there. Here in Louisville, Kentucky, it's on the same channel that OVW comes on. Ring of Honor is, but it doesn't mean it's national. It's national TV. So, but those are things that is pretty cool about and hopefully it'd be cool if NWA does get a national deal. I know YouTube is. I get it. It's everywhere. It's worldwide. I understand, but it's YouTube. It's not TV. There's a big difference.
It is.
Advertisers are not paying as much money for YouTube they do for you're on regular TV, and it's still to this day. Maybe the one day will change because we're moving into an internet world, but right now that's the way it is.
To wrap it back to the beginning, Joe Exotic had his own network as well on YouTube.
Oh yeah, he did.
Yeah, I know.
And,
all right,
and so did Carol Baskin, who, by the way, I believe is the reason behind everything. So.
Yeah, don't give away too much if anybody has not got onto this train wreck yet. But all right, we've chatted. We can continue to chat for days because, guys, this is the way it is when I run into them in Louisville at OVW. We'll chat about nothing but about everything. I need you to, though, tell everybody about Ringside Podcast. I got to give you some time because I promised.
You did promise. I was going to hold you to that, too. No, yes, guys, Ringside Podcast is a show that it's been around. This is the fourth season we're under. It's basically, it's a podcast. We talk about everything from wrestling to, we have interviews. As I mentioned before, the most recent interview is the Check winner for Impact Wrestling, Shogun Jackson Stowe was on. We've had Al Snow, Tony Gunn. We've had Jerry the King Lawler, Jeff Jarrett. We've had a lot of people on in the past. But three guys that call me, Jeremy, and JK. Sometimes it's mostly just me and Jeremy, but a lot of times you hear JK on there too. Like I said, we chat about, we give our opinions and thoughts of what's going on. We also break news. And then, now I know this is, we were labeled this at one time, the official podcast of OVW, but I also know Ken Crushers is also an official podcast of OVW. So I'm not going to say who's the official or who's not. I'm just going to say we both cover OVW very well. So if you like Mark's coverage of OVW, you'll also like Ringside's coverage of OVW too as well. And
I did see, though, real quick, let me interrupt you. I did see, though, Brian and Steve are bringing Overdrive Podcast out as an official podcast as well of OVW. Do you know that?
Whatever. I heard
bums. Those are bums. Neither one of them have signs up yet. Let me tell you that.
No, they don't have signs up, and I'm going to talk to them next time I see them. So this social distancing thing kind of worked out for them because I can't be around them right now. But trust me, next time they see me, I'm going to give them a little piece of my mind being an official at OVW and say, hey. What's going on? Me and Mark, maybe we'll have to do a tag team. Maybe we'll do a tag team. Daniel and Mark versus Brian and Steve. And I don't know who's going to referee that one. I guess I can trust somebody in there.
Charlene.
But,
Charlene, definitely.
Charlene, okay.
Yeah.
I can trust Charlene.
Yeah.
So we'll do that, and she can. And the winner becomes the official podcast. I tell you what, though, I think we have to make it a no holds barred match or something because we got to use garbage cans.
Of course we do.
Of
course we do. And I might have somebody in my back pocket that can bring garbage cans down for us. So if I have to make a phone call, and I'm sure Al knows them real well too, maybe we can do this on the SNS that's linked in with the whole Combine this year again.
Yeah, maybe so. But you can listen to Ringside on all over 120 platforms out there: Apple Podcasts, Google Radio, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, all that stuff. Or just go to ringsidepodcast.com and you can get us on social media at Ringside Podcast. That's the Twitter, the Instagram, and the Facebook at Ringside Podcast.
That's it. You're not going to say anything else? Like you said, you had a really cool story about it. I know Jeremy hates me. He hates me. Because I had to.
Jeremy's not a fan because I remember the first time. Legit, this is a straight true story.
I know it is.
So like your banner goes up first before ours does, and I was kind of working on doing that or whatever, but I was just kind of like, I'm there. I got other things to worry about until the banner up. Okay, so Jeremy shows up at the show. I think it was at Wednesday nights this time. Shows up one of the nights, and we're getting the TV taping, and he's like, I got all my phone's blown up with text messages, and I'm like looking at it, like right before we go on, and I know he's there, and I'm going, what? Who's this Can Crusher? Why is there a banner up? What's going on? I was like, what are you talking about? So I was confused when I was looking, because I knew your banner was up, but I don't know, I didn't think that he's mad because your banner's up and ours is not. I didn't think it like that. I was like, what do you mean the banner? Why is he mad about a banner? So later I talked to him. He's like, oh, their banner got up before us. We're the official podcast of OVW. I said, dude, I said, this is another guy that has a podcast. I've met him. He's cool. Like, what are you talking about? Well, how can we have, what if we put our banner up? We can't. I was like, dude, it'd be fine. We can have two banners that we're two separate podcasts. We're completely two different shows. It's going to be okay. It's not going to, nobody's not going to go, well, I'm not listening to Ringside because I'm listening to Can Crushers. Or I'm not going to listen to Can Crushers. I'm listening to Ringside. We're in this together. Like, we're in a podcast community. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. But then he was just like, it was funny. And of course, now he'll deny that anything's ever happened. So if you ever ask him, no, I never said that, he'll deny it all. But he basically was like, all right, I just thought it was, I was like, man, I can't believe that somebody came in and got us. I was like, no one came in and took our spot, which is basically like it is in wrestling. Wrestling has spots. So when someone comes in like that, that is the thing that a wrestler does with someone. They immediately think, oh, somebody's stealing my spot. And so, Jeremy just is, doing what normally wrestlers, and even though he's not a wrestler, not in the business whatsoever, but he's doing things that wrestlers kind of do. Somebody's taking my spot. Just calm down. There's plenty of room for everybody. There's plenty of TV time for everybody. So, I just thought it was funny. But I will say this. He did listen, which I think he met you.
Several times.
He has listened to your show, and he actually he's not a hater anymore. He's a fan. So you could say you did. I don't know what you did. Probably because you don't like me. That's probably why you like me.
It's perfect. That's what I love. I've met him a few times. I met him at the Combine. We hugged it out. We really did. Before there was social distancing, we hugged it out.
Yes, we hugged. Yeah, you did. Absolutely. I witnessed it, and I was shocked and all. We're hugging, but it is what it is. I will say this, there is something I do want to throw out there, though. I know I kind of hinted it a couple times before, but, a couple weeks ago before all this started happening, I got the privilege and opportunity to work. I've done stuff in partnership with OVW and Impact, but I got brought in the book to actually work Impact's TV tapings that was in Atlanta. So starting this week on Impact Television as well as their TNA special in the next couple weeks, you will see yours truly refereeing in an Impact ring on Access Television. So go check it out.
That's great. That's just another reason I can bear you because, man, there's been several times that you're blinder than the three blind mice. Like, you just miss a lot sometimes.
I took time, and I've watched a lot of tape, and I've noticed a lot of stuff happens behind my back, and I don't like it. So I'm, mostly the LOB and Legacy of Brutality and OVW. They have a tendency to really try to do stuff behind my back, and I'm not the only one. They do stuff behind the ref's back too. So they're the guys I'm definitely watching out for. Come when we start back up to see what's going on there. By the way, on Impact Television, #armsleeve. That's when you'll know it's me. That's all I'll say.
Arm sleeve. Good God.
Arm sleeve.
I have to make a note of that. Arm sleeve. Jesus. All right. I want to ask you one more final question on this half of the podcast because this could go, like I said, for days. And I want everybody to know, what would be your dream match to referee of all time? Would it be, go back to Savage against Steamboat? Would it be Flair, Dusty? Would it be Ray Lyn? I mean, where are we going?
So, a match has already happened that I wish I could referee it? Or are you saying a match that if I could pick the referee it?
You could put any. It could be me against, our boy Ryan. It could be anything. Any match that you want to happen, you're the referee.
Well, if I'm going to go back in history and like pick a match that already happened and would love to have been the referee in that match, it would be one of two. In the WrestleMania matches, one happened at WrestleMania 18. It was The Rock versus Hulk Hogan, one of the greatest matches of all time. Literally, you see how the crowd, which is why it's going to be hard to have a crowd for WrestleMania, the crowd can dictate and change the match, and that they did, and it was amazing. And then two would be another WrestleMania match. My favorite match of all time, I think the greatest of all time, would be WrestleMania 25 between Shawn Michaels and The Undertaker. Those would be matches. Those are the two matches that if I could go back and be a part of, I would. But I am going to tell you a match a dream match that I would love to referee for sure. And that would be, and I don't know, it would be a weird, I think their styles would clash a little bit, and no pun intended on this, but I would love to be able to referee The Rock versus AJ Styles. Pretty much referee any match with The Rock. I think if I'm able to referee a match with The Rock in it before he officially hangs up his boots, would be amazing. The reason why I say AJ is because I think he's one of the most talented out there. Yeah, their styles will clash, but I also think that they would put on one hell of a show too as well. It's a match that most people don't ask for. They don't ask for Rock versus Styles. They ask for Rock versus this or Rock versus that or Styles versus this guy. They don't ever put those two together. So let me put them together and let me referee it, and then send me on my merry way. And I could literally never referee ever again if I did those two guys. I hope that never happens. I hope if I did referee those guys, I'll keep refereeing more. But I'm just saying, I could retire happy and succeed at everything in my life if I refereed a Rock match.
The promos leading up to that match would be, in my opinion, better than the match. I'm not saying no disrespect to their wrestling talent. I just think those two could carry a storyline talking about a piece of dust in Ryan Mosley's pocket. I really do.
Probably so. And another thing on this is that, talking about, and I've been watching a lot of this old WrestleMania stuff, been sharing a lot of this stuff. Probably, I'm still thinking to myself, see if I'm wrong, I'm wrong, but do I think the greatest build-up for a match ever, though, is probably Rock and Austin, WrestleMania 17? I mean, that build-up for that match, and then the whole Limp Bizkit song involved in the promo, and Angle, just the My Way song. I mean, literally, that is probably. And the match itself was great, and I still don't like the ending. Still blows my mind because they're often turning heel. But that, that was probably the greatest build-up ever. So it'll be probably up to that level, building up like that.
Yeah. All right, give everybody your social media again so you can go eat and I can actually let my wife in the door because I've kept her locked out.
Ooh, okay. Well,
social distancing. Social distancing.
There you go. So you can find me all on the social media. I'm on Twitter and Instagram at Daniel Spencer. I have a like page at Real Daniel Spencer or Referee Daniel Spencer. Search for that on Facebook. And then, of course, like I said, the Ringside Podcast, you can follow us that way, too, at Ringside Podcast on all the platforms as well. So give us a like and a follow, or me a like and a follow, and I do interact, so you'll like it.
He does interact, ladies. Watch out! No, he's spoken. No. He's spoken for. I'm sorry.
I am. I'm engaged.
He's not about penis.
I have an ex-wife, but I have a fiance now. Yeah. So.
Yeah. All right, Daniel. You need to go to the gym. Oh, you can't go to the gym. You probably need to watch something on TV because everything's shut down, buddy.
Well, I got to cut grass, so I got to do that. So that's something that I will do, and I can be social distance away from everybody while I cut my grass. So
nice. We'll talk to you real soon.
All right. Thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
Didn't I tell you he's a great guy? He really is. He does a lot for the business, even behind the scenes when he's not refereeing. He's always in and around OVW at Davis Arena or Chad and Al, just doing some stuff to help out, the talent or OVW as a business. So what a great human being. Before both myself and Daniel Spencer get any hate, we are completely kidding. We love Ryan Mosley. We are always picking on him. Between the three of us, we could sit down and talk wrestling for hours. Ryan, I know you're out there listening, so I hope you're having a great day and I hope you're healthy. But did you see Arm Sleeve? Did you see Arm Sleeve on TNA last night? I did. I stayed up a little bit longer than I normally do, and I didn't send anything out to Spencer because the poor guy, he has a lawn. He's got a mansion down there in Louisville that he's probably still cutting his grass. So he's social distancing, and when he says that, that means he's going to be out there for days, months, years. The guy's a trillionaire. You should hear him. You should hear him. Everything that he does. Guys, really, check out Ringside Podcast. They do great things. They got a nice reach. They really do. We work together. We continue to work together. I've been asked a couple times, why do you promote so many other podcasts on yours? I've always said this. It's not a competition. We're all in this together. We all love wrestling. If you can put a group of nerds in a room to talk wrestling and give us a microphone, we'll do it. We love it. So, all right, guys, you know how this ends with us telling you about go to Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. It's all at CanCrusher69. Give us a like, give us a follow, give us a share. You know, just tell everybody about it. Especially share the hell out of this Daniel Spencer one because he needs it. He really does. He needs some help. That's just the way he is. That's why I invited him on the podcast, so we can promote his podcast, and so his co-host, Jeremy, can bring back some love a little bit more because the man's hating. He's hating. Guys, any questions, make sure you shoot them over to cancrusher69@gmail.com. Check out our website. You know where we are, all over Spotify, iTunes, iHeart, Stitcher. Pretty much every podcast link that you can find us, you can find the Ringside Podcast. So, all right, guys, again, as I always say, make sure you stay safe out there, wash your hands, wash behind your ears, and remember, just because Daniel Spencer's trash doesn't mean you can't do great things. It's called a garbage can, not a garbage cannot.